9-0.
Holy crap.
Couldn't get a draw. I'll just win.
Yeah. No,
Easier.
I haven't lost yet. Why would I start now?
Yeah, last round, I think he's supposed to draw the last round. Like, his opponent will want the draw. Kevin, if he draws next round, can clinch the 1 seed.
Right.
So I think you want that guaranteed play draw. If he plays and loses, then he can, in theory, be tied. So I think he'll draw. Michael Scheffenenker lost to Kevin, but had a loss to give at X01, so he'll be playing basically a win and in. We saw Zach Dobbin with Helmerator. The other 3 matches that I know of that ended, they were all won by Delver decks.
Oh, wow.
But none of them are red-green. I mean, none of them are just red-green. Jeskai, Sultai.
Okay.
That Jeskai is essentially take your red-green Delver deck and put in artifacts, put in the Stoneforge Mystic. That's Jeskai Delver, or supposed to Delver Blade? Is that better?
Delver Blade.
Delver Blade seems like more of a legacy deck name.
I think everyone just wants to say UWR.
Jeskai's gonna
I like
stick.
Jeskai Delver.
Jeskai's totally gonna stick.
And then, I like Delver Blade, actually.
Delver Blade is actually pretty good. I could totally get behind Delver Blade. The Sultai Delver Licks, to me, they look like you didn't notice the Treasure Cruise showed up. You know? I mean, no offense to Eric Luca, but the value of having green is so much lower when your Tarmogoyfs get shrunk by both your Treasure Cruises and your opponent's Treasure Cruises.
And your Thoughtseizes, which I assume you're playing for black, or some sort of disruption package that you're playing in black, are just also just kind of, you're like, okay, you took my card.
Yeah, it's also possible that he was Teamer and I missaw it, but either way,
no, I think it is bug. I think,
it was Sultai.
I think it was Sultai, yeah.
But yeah, I don't get it.
To still say bug if it's legacy, right?
Depends whose stream you're on, maybe. I don't know how these rules work.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's Eric Luca. He defeated Christopher Hine. Christopher Hine was on one of the non-Delver decks, so pour one out for I think that was the Death and Taxes guy with Chalices.
Okay.
John Grudzina was one of the Jeskai Delver lists, or Delver Blade defeated Derek Rita, and Eric Markowitz also on Delver Blade over John Gatza.
Sweet.
Yeah, so I think all those guys are just looking for a draw now. Scheffenenker has to play for it. So you've got Zach Dobbin, Markowitz, so Dobbin, Markowitz, Grudzina, Luca, and then the winners of table 3 and 4. So you have 6 guys that want to draw in. One of them will get paired up against Kevin Jones. One of them will get paired down and have to play for it. And then one of the X1 matches. So I think we'll have 2 win-and-ins.
Okay.
I think we'll have 6 draws and 2 win-and-ins. But the win-and-ins might be a little messy with tiebreakers, depending on how many of the X1s actually win. Like, I think there's... Who won? Pat Failing?
Yep.
Okay, so Patrick Failing is one of the X1s who's playing up. So it's only if we get a 4th one of those that we have a problem. So it's Scheffenenker will be X11. Failing will be X11. Oh, Nate Stern lost to Zach, so he's X11. Are you out this round or am I? I think it's you.
I believe I'm out this
round. I believe so too.
So I'm going to swap Bob in. You guys can start working on the breaks, and I'm going to keep an eye on the matches.
Oh yeah, please do bring us updates for the off-camera stuff. Yeah. I especially want to know how many draws there are initially, right?
Okay. And my phone's working again too, so I'll start. I'm reduced, so I'll start texting.
Sounds like a plan.
So it's funny, like when you're walking around, talking to people, getting up to date, like Patrick Failing from Madison originally, living in Colorado now, but I mean, used to play with the same group of people like I used to prep for the PT with.
Very nice.
I mean, it's great to see some local players I haven't seen for a long time. But he's wandering around and he's like, well, yeah, next round if I win, and he's like, maybe. I'm like, oh no, you're 7-1-1. This is a win and in. And he's like, really? He's like, but I was like 19th going into this round. But no, as soon as he looked at it again and thought about it, I mean, he's a smart guy.
Yeah, sure.
Oh yeah, no, this is a win and in. So
I think one X11. I think there's going to be one too many X11s.
Oh, wow.
Or possibly two too many. There's a pair down match going on right now that I don't know. But yeah, I think we're going to have 6 draws. And then somebody gets paired down in an X1-1 for a win and in. 2 X1-1s play a win and in. And then there's 1 or 2 X1-1s left over.
Oh.
I don't think it's going to be clean. There's too many people with a loss and a draw there's too many unintentional draws. Is basically what it comes down to. And so, maybe we won't have draws. Maybe we won't have intentional draws because people don't want to trust their tiebreakers. Mm-hmm. But if tables 1, 2, and 3 all draw, then you're going to wind up with some crazy number of X1-1s. Oh, that's a really interesting tweet. Eric Froelich, we've been having this running conversation about how many viable legacy cards there are. Last 2 months of Star City Games opens, top 16s, 370. So he thinks the actual number is only like 500 or so.
That seems fair. That actually seems pretty realistic.
2 months, though, if you can get...
That's right around 3% of 15,000 cards.
Yeah, I thought the number would be higher than that, but maybe it's only 500 cards. It's really only 500 cards?
I mean, you have to remember, a deck could have as little as like 10 unique cards and some basics. I mean, 12 at least, but...
Yeah, that estimate seems useful enough that the ceiling is a 3-digit number, not a 4-digit number.
Yeah.
Also, 2 matches are still playing.
Oh, 2 matches are still playing.
And the third to last table in the tournament is
So we're well into
Everybody's here
extra
to
turns here. It's funny. So you've got one table with an appeal to the head judge. Okay, fair enough. These things happen sometimes. And then the third to last table left in the tournament, still playing, while we all wait for them. If somebody's going off with like an Elves deck or an Ascendancy deck, taking a turn that's going to last forever. Oh yeah, gamers get a game.
Yeah.
No problem there. So I'm not doing this math wrong, right? On the X11s. So Jones is 9-0. He's in. He'll get paired. Both of the X01s lost. So he'll get paired with an X1 player. He'll take the draw to clinch the 1 seed, and then that guy is in, right? There's 2. Now, in terms of 21 pointers, the 7-1s that get to 8-1, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. 1 gets paired up. 4 of them shake hands. 1 of them gets paired down.
So there's...
Right, because you got this one, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tables.
So this person's X1 and 1 then, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. You've got these 2 X1 and 1s. The problem is we're going to have either 5 or 6 players are going to come into the round with a loss and a draw.
No, so the 9-0 is going to play one of these 24s, one of these 6 24s.
Yep.
So yeah,
there's 2 in the top 8. Then of the other 5 8 and 1s, 4 of them will get paired against each other.
Yep.
So there's 6 top 8ers, assuming their breakers are better than the X1 and 1s that are coming up from the bottom.
Yep.
Now I've got one X1 getting paired down. Call that a win and in.
2.
That's the 7th guy. 2 X1 and 1s get paired. The winner of that is the 8th guy.
Wow. Yeah.
But there's still an X1 and 1 or 2 left over.
Absolutely.
Depending on Zinsu's matchup. So you've either got 1 or 2 too many of the X1 and 1s, the unintentional draw guys.
Yeah, well, you may end up with 4 people playing for 2 slots.
Right.
Or you may end up with an extra, yeah.
I think you're going to have 5 or 6 people playing for 2 slots. If table 1, 2, and 3 all draw. Now, if one of those guys doesn't trust his tiebreakers, I mean, those are kind of matches where you can take a draw to be 95% to make top 8. And I think most people take a draw when that puts them 95% to top 8.
Yeah, certainly.
I would take a draw if I was 95% to top 8.
Well, I think you went down that path once, right?
That one I messed up the math once. I missed approach for top 8 on bad math. That was not the high point of my career. I had 2 teammates that were playing to make top 8, so I was trying to dream crush because both Eric and Mike auditioned to make top 8.
Oh, you dream crushed, all right.
I did. Turns out we went 0 for 3. We finished 10, 12, 17. Yeah, no, I took a draw in the next to last round. I took a draw with 3 rounds to go to set myself up to draw in the next to last round. Played to Dream Crush, lost, and then couldn't get the draw in the last round and lost. That was bad. It was the second Chicago I played. Did not go as well as the first Chicago.
10th is still pretty good.
So yeah, I see too many unintentional draws here. I don't think it's going to be clean, which might mean we don't see as many IDs, or more realistically, I think it means that somebody's going to win their win and in and then finish 9th.
Well, I really think it... So 6, 7... We have 1 dangler, 1...
Yeah, there's 4 or 5. One of them gets paired up, 2 of them pair, and then there's 1 or 2 that get paired down.
Yep.
Yeah, there's 1 or 2 too many coming in on X11.
Yeah, it's brutal for some of these guys who were...
The X11 that wins and misses. I mean, there might only be 1. He could get paired down and lose. Then it's clean.
Yeah.
But I think somebody can miss on 811. If we have max IDs, max intentional draws.
Yeah. Absolutely, that's what it looks like.
And you've already reassured Patrick Failing that it's
he's
a
on a
clean
win and in. No, when we were talking earlier, I mean, because we didn't get that far past the threshold to get to 10 rounds. Like, it's a small 10-round event.
Right.
So I thought an X and 2 was a shot.
I agree.
was just mistaken.
I was in the same mental space as you. Yeah, I think it's the unintentional draws feel like they should suck points out of the system, but
yeah, they should actually.
I don't know. I guess Kevin is also sucking points out of the system to drop the line. I don't know. So, thoughts on Treasure Cruise at this point? Is it ridiculous? Totally format warping? Should be on a watch list for being banned in Legacy? Is it interesting and different and going to be cool for Legacy?
I don't think it's that interesting and different. I think it's a little dangerous at this point.
A little dangerous?
A little dangerous. I think it depends. I mean, depending on how this top 8 ends up, that could change things. I mean, it could really define the format moving forward.
Sure.
And we did see plenty of people doing well without Treasure Cruise in their deck.
True.
I mean, all the Elf decks, the Ad Nauseam player who was on camp, I mean, just... There are certainly options. It's not like you have to play Treasure Cruise if you want to win. But
sure.
The Treasure Cruise deck is incredibly powerful.
Yeah, no, so I think it's both, right? It is both scary and worthy of watching, but also kind of cool and kind of fun. And yeah, I think it's good to have powerful cards come in and shake things up.
Yeah, and I think it has to be left alone for a little while. Like, give people time to figure it out.
Yeah, mechanically, by the way, I mean, if anybody's wondering, the way the banned and restricted announcements work, WotC has synchronized them with new set releases. Mm-hmm. So the next time the format could be changed, even if WotC thought it was ridiculous, is actually when the next set comes out. It's when Fates Reforged comes out in, what is that, January, February? I think it's late January pre-release for like right at the late January, early February.
Well, the sets move up release. A little bit. So I think there's a January release and a March release next year.
Oh, okay. So late January is the first time they could affect the format by their stated rules. I mean, whatever. There's no emergency. There's no need to do anything emergency-wise. They're not worried about that. But yeah, I mean, I think it's the kind of thing they have to watch. Like, the card's clearly very powerful. They're going to have to watch it in Legacy. They're going to have to watch it in Modern. They're going to have... I mean, we'll see what happens tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll see what happens tomorrow.
It could also be Vintage restriction worthy.
If it starts off... If it happens to start running over Vintage, like, I think you just have to look at it in a different light. I mean, don't get me wrong. Brainstorm's restricted in Vintage and doesn't need to be dealt with in Legacy. I mean, there are certainly cards that ride that line.
Yeah, I actually like the way Brainstorm is. I know people have complained about Brainstorm being restricted in Vintage. I like the way one of those Eternal formats is kind of the Brainstorm format and the other one isn't.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually think that variety is healthy. I mean, they could have done it... I guess you could have banned it in Legacy and left it in Vintage, but I actually like that Legacy gets to be the Brainstorm format. And it's so... The blue cards are so ridiculous in Vintage that
I actually just think
I'm happy with that.
It rides the line. I think it would be way too good in Vintage, and I think it's all right in Legacy. Like, I don't think they need to change it. I think they just got it right. It's not that one format is the Brainstorm format and the other one isn't. I think it's just correct.
I mean, I think if you look at raw numbers, you can make the case for banning Brainstorm in Legacy, historically. Like, it's been so played in so many decks.
Only if they wanted to function on the same decision-making process as they do in, like, Modern. Like, banning cards to open up deck-building possibilities. And I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's what they're going for in Legacy.
Yeah, ultimately, I just agree. It sounds like we just agree.
Yeah, it's just one of those cards that, I mean, back in the day when there was Brainstorm and Impulse and Tide, then all these things are just smoothed out, all your mana draws. It just makes things easier.
That makes sense. I mean, Brainstorm might be the best card in Legacy, but that might just be okay.
Yeah, it might just be okay because it doesn't break a game wide open typically. I mean...
Although, I don't think Brainstorm's the best card in Legacy right now.
I would agree with you. I think it might be fighting for second best.
Right. It does play well with what appears to be the best card in Legacy.
Yeah. I mean, Treasure Cruise is just so impressive. And it's and it's still blowing my mind. A bunch of good players I truly respect walking into this event saying, you guys can talk about Treasure Cruise all you want, but you know, I put Dig Through Time in my deck and that's where it should be.
Oh, really?
But there were people walking it, like some Miracle players. I mean, some people with Dig Through Time. I mean, we saw
Dig on camera look pretty good.
Yeah, but that doesn't seem to be what is filtering up to the top of the Swiss.
Well, I haven't seen Miracles at the top of the Swiss since Reed lost.
No.
And did Reed have Dig and/or Cruise?
He had Dig.
He had Dig.
I believe. Yes. Okay. I think he had 2 Dig.
I don't know that I got the chance to see his deck list.
Yeah, I believe Reed was on 2 Dig. And main deck Power Blast.
Makes sense.
Well, I mean, but even that, we've seen a lot of main deck Pyroblasts today, and I think it's a good idea. And that's
Fair.
That's not them chasing after brainstorms.
No. The fact that Treasure Cruise were just obviously better than Brainstorm. I think at some point, I don't think you just get to have that card come into Legacy. Give the format a couple of months, let people react to it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to do something in January necessarily, although
Right.
maybe you do. But I mean, if the metagame doesn't somehow react and get to a place where it's reasonable, then
Well, are there any
it's a
legacy
question.
rounds at the World Championships?
No, there's modern rounds at the World
Modern rounds,
Championships.
okay.
Yeah, the World Championships are modern. It's actually a pretty cool setup for Worlds. Modern and standard are the two constructed formats. The two limited formats are Cons and Vintage Masters.
Whew.
They've gone to Magic Online. They got essentially used the collation to just say create some Vintage Masters packs, and then they got physical copies of those cards so that they can transport them to Worlds and just draft Vintage Masters with real cards.
Sounds fantastic.
No keepsies though.
Come on.
No
It's the
keepsies.
World Championships.
I was not sure how they were going to do it. I asked. It's no keepsies. You do not get to first pick the Black Lotus and add it to your
might
winnings.
still be correct.
It is. Like, you don't pass boxes. They're ridiculous.
Coverage keepsies on the Sunday night.
Sunday night draft coverage keepsies. I like it.
So
Update from Brian.
So the game is over at the last.
The next to last table's done playing?
Yeah, no, their game is just over.
Uh-oh.
They have a 12 minutes left in the round still in terms of their judge ruling, and they are going to game 3.
Oh my god,
Woo,
they've got
game 3,
12
bring it
minutes
on.
left.
Yeah, so I would like to publicly shame Matt Ferranda for going into game 3 here. But,
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Hey, paid the same entry fee as everybody else. Let's play some Magic.
Odds of us getting the quarterfinals in tonight are what's dropping.
Yes.
Quarterfinals are starting to look like an 8 a.m. prospect at this point.
well,
You should get us an update on that too, Brian.
what's that?
You should get us an update on that too as the
I
round
will
starts
see-
coming
well,
down.
It's still all pending.
Sure.
The issue is also the Grand Prix trial going on that's got to cut to top 8 draft.
Yeah, they just started the draft.
They just started the draft.
So the room's going to be
The
open.
room's
Judges are going to be
And-
here.
And they can't go home and come
And did you hear who made the draft?
Jordan Berkowitz.
Jordan Berkowitz.
Drafting in the Grand Prix trial top 8. Wants to have those buys at Baltimore.
And I don't know how many times he's drafted this set, but it can't be that many.
I was talking with John Becker,
Uh-huh.
friend of Jordan's way back in the day. Literally, Becker's at home. He's at, or maybe it's been like his daughter's soccer game or something. Phone rings. It's Jordan. Hey, I've been meaning to call you. Haven't talked to you in a while. How does damage work now?
Yeah.
Like, it's okay, Jordan. There's no stack anymore. You don't put damage on the stack.
Yeah. He's like, oh, okay.
What is
you,
this,
you have to
ordering-
order blockers. Yeah, you have to put them in order. Like, oh, okay. And there was one other comment.
Oh, the fight. He was like, "Yeah, I bought a box. I've been practicing Sealed Deck with my buddy, and we don't have any starter decks, so we just did 5 boosters." Like, what happened? If you're like, okay, there are no starter decks anymore.
Yeah, he was doing 6 boosters. He goes, no.
It's a starter and 2 boosters.
It's a starter and 2 boosters, so it's like 5 boosters. He goes, no, it's 6 boosters because there are no more starters. What do you mean there's no starters?
Turns out, skill game.
Yeah.
If you're talented enough, you just show up, read the cards, you can still top
Yeah, and
8.
after the 5-minute conversation, he starts off 5-0 in the trial. Now he got to draw in. Now he's drafting. No, it'd be great.
Pretty funny. Oh, Becker did give him the 5-mana rule is a good one. That you can't be blown out by a morph creature for less than 5 mana.
Oh,
If you block a morph with a 2/2, they cannot eat your 2/2, whether it's morph or whatever. They can't eat your 2/2 for less than 5 mana. Certainly the key to limited. Certainly an important rule of thumb anyway.
No, it is a big key. Yeah, I mean, it's also what starts to value those like 3 mana plus 3/3s, the 4 mana plus.
Oh, the Dragon Scale boon. I'm like, I go too far. Like for a while, I was like, okay, fine, he can't blow me out. Yeah, he's got 4 untapped mana, whatever. Block. Like Dragon Scale boon.
You're like,
What?
oh,
You weren't
that-
supposed to be able to blow me out.
Yeah, no, you can't unmorph to blow me out.
Right.
Wait.
You can
yeah.
still cast Dragon Scale boon.
Yeah, I took this too far.
Exactly. Yeah. So, lots of stuff going on today. Been a fun day.
Yeah, seen a lot of cards removed from the game.
Yeah, I walk over to the feature match area to check on that match, and I'm like, okay, one guy's library is much thinner than the others, and its removed from game stack is much larger. I bet that guy's winning. That's all I needed to see. Who has more cards removed from the game? Whose exile zone is bigger? Yeah, I don't think you're going to be able to play with 4 treasure cruises in Legacy for long. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, not inevitably, or not indefinitely.
Not years.
Yeah.
I mean, some number of months, but I don't think it's going to be measured in years. I think it's going to be measured in months. That's
I saw someone bring it up in the chat, and they're asking, so what, in different colors, what do you do to fight treasure cruise? As long as people get to run around with 4, if you don't want to join them, how do you beat them?
I mean, I love the Helmerator deck tech. Were you listening to that guy's interview?
No,
you weren't in the booth, right? So it's the Zach Dobbin, who is basically one of the guys who gets to draw in this next round. He's looking at the format. He's looking at treasure cruise. He's like, all right, you know what? I want to just start my deck with 4 Leyline of the Void. He's playing the Leyline of the Void Helm of Obedience combo because Leyline is just awesome.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, Brian's over with an update.
Okay, so that round's still, like I said, still going. If not for the more than half-hour delay to get this round over with, we may well have tried to get the first round with the top 8 in. But it looks like 8 a.m. tomorrow, we're going to start playing the top 8. These guys will have the 2 buys into the Vintage Champs.
Okay, so anybody who makes top 8 of Legacy Champs gets 2 buys in a Vintage Champs.
Right.
And there's people trialing for 2 buys. That sounds totally correct.
Yeah, and other open tournaments have done something.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. But so with this delay, quarterfinals 8 a.m.
Correct. Quarterfinals 8 a.m. We have one more round. Whenever Matt Ferrando decides to win or lose this match. and then we're going to play one more round. We got a bunch of winning ends. Very exciting.
Awesome.
Great.
This is clearly all Harry's.
Harry Corvasi's fault? He tripped over a wire. So different colors. Black, you can deal with Treasure Cruise with Helm of Obedience.
Yeah.
Like, I actually think just that deck is really well situated for heavy Treasure Cruise meta.
Yep.
So, okay. Red? I mean, I think can you go Boss Sly like 31 drops and win before it matters? I've seen people trying to do that. I'm not sure it's good enough, but I mean, your best chance is
because the main pilot of Treasure Cruises right now is the blue-red deck.
Yeah, I was going to say join them instead of beat them.
creatures,
Yeah.
and then draw 3.
Yeah, that matchup seems miserable.
Red has a very hard time.
I mean, you
with
can Pyroblast.
Yeah.
You can put your Pyros in the main deck, but I don't know why you wouldn't just join them.
Yeah.
I mean, the best red decks just are the blue-red decks.
Yeah. Blue, I mean, yeah, Remand that we've been talking about. I haven't seen anyone Remand.
I haven't seen a Remand either.
But it sounds like fun.
Good point.
White, I mean, you have Rest in Peace if you want to go that route.
You can Gaddock Teague in green-white.
True. Yeah, I have seen a few Gaddock Teagues.
Though again, the best Treasure Cruise list has a bunch of Lightning Bolts.
Yep. But, I mean, at least it's stepping in the right direction. Even the decks with Thalia make it hard to just get enough in your graveyard to
and we've definitely seen
really work out.
We've definitely seen some Death and Taxes decks. Like the Thalia is good. Among the best non-Treasure Cruise decks performing so far. Seen multiple Death and Taxes, seen multiple Elves floating around the top tables. I don't know that those are going to make top 8, but I mean, if those are the kind of decks you want to, you want to run Elves because you basically want to win the game before the Treasure Cruise card advantage matters.
Right.
You need them to not draw their Forked Bolts.
Certainly.
I mean, Forked Bolt seems ridiculous against Thalia too.
It seems to be the difference.
Yeah, none of these seem as good as Delver Cruise with a bunch of Forked Bolts.
Yeah, it's like these things that solve Treasure Cruise just have a hard time with the Delver lists. Yeah, I don't know. It seems tough not to join them, but
yep. Spirit of the Labyrinth seems okay.
Chains of Mephistopheles.
I heard people were gonna play Chains of Mephistopheles. I didn't actually ever see it. I mean, it doesn't actually even turn off the Treasure Cruise, right? It turns draw 3 into discard 3, draw 3.
Which is still good.
It's annoying.
Yeah.
Notion Thief is good if you can pull it off, but I mean, you're a blue deck, right? You have Treasure Cruise in.
Fork Bolts and Lightning Bolts, and
yeah,
it's very cute.
Yeah,
and it could get there, but
yeah. So somebody asked you about the old school Magic format as well. Steve Menendian challenged me to build an old school Magic deck. Have you seen this format?
I have a little bit, and I actually used to play in a number of tournaments at that time that they're talking about.
Sure, yeah. So old school Magic is essentially you can play with any Magic card printed in 1993 or 1994.
Yeah.
Or sometimes maybe you allow 95 Like I've seen versions of it that are maybe it's either through Legends or through the Dark, or maybe through Fallen Empires, maybe through Ice Age. I don't know, 93, 94. I don't know. I want it to be through Ice Age because then I can play Necropotence deck, but I'm pretty sure I'm biased on the subject.
I'm pretty sure you're biased on the subject as well.
The format does look cool. The thing that I didn't like, so I went to the website, Old School Magic, and like I said, Menendez challenged me to this, but the thing that bugs me is you can't play with any cards that weren't printed then. So you have to track down like unlimited dual lands. You can't play a revised dual land because it doesn't fit in the time window. You have to play unlimited dual lands. You can't even play foreign black border dual lands. Like, you want your deck to be black bordered, you need betas. Like, there's this collector angle. I was like, I don't have unlimited dual lands. I can't actually build a deck for this format.
Yeah.
Like, I have a pretty solid collection. Like I have multiple vintage decks that I'm just bringing the gunsling with, but I don't know if I like so that's what the question was, what's my take on the Old School Magic format? That was my take. I'm not in love with the weirdo collector version of it where you have to have unlimited and earlier versions of base set cards.
That's an entertaining take on things, but...
Yep. Yes. So the way the pairings play out, I've just been handing pairings for the next round. There is one too many person, right? So we have
two too many matches.
A 27-24, 2, 4, 6. This is a win and in for 7. This is a win and in for 8.
And you have a 22 there that could just throw.
There's one extra guy.
Yeah.
Right. You get 2-4, table 1. Table 1 is Kevin Jones versus Ralph Betesh. 27-24. We think Kevin's willing to draw now. They both get in. Then you've got John Grudzina versus Eric DeLuca. 24-24. They draw to get to 25. That's 4. Eric Markowitz versus Tony Chiarlenza. 24-24. They draw. The winner gets to 25. Oh, the pair down is Zach Dobbin. Helmerator.
Wow.
He's got to have to win. He's going to have to win or I mean, he won't get a draw. I guess an unintentional draw, but that's unlikely. I'm going to guess that's our camera match. I hope that's our camera match. Zach Dobbin is playing against Michael Scheffenenker, who's on Delver. He's the guy that just lost on table 1. Then you've got Nate Sturm versus Patrick Failing, 22 versus 22. The winner of that will be the 8th player to get to 25 points. And then the wild card match, David Tipton is on 21 points playing against John Goss on 22. So if Goss wins, then there's 9 players in contention and somebody misses on X1 and 1.
Yeah. That's the breakdown.
That's the breakdown.
Do we have standings?
Yeah, standings.
Oh,
do we have standings so we can see who's got the worst tiebreakers?
Yeah, and see if there's any of the people at 24 who are not going to.
Yeah, so John Goss is the weakest of the 22s on 56. All the 24s have at least 55% breakers. Oh, Zach Dobbin is in fact the only guy below 59. But they should draw. There's no way their breakers are going to drop below 59.8. Chiarlenza is on 59. Markowitz is on 60.3, 62, 64. Yeah, there's no way any of those guys would miss. If somebody misses on X1-1, it'll probably be John Goss. Or it could be Patrick Failing if Goss wins and leapfrogs him in tiebreakers. Yeah, the fact that Goss, the guy who got paired down, is the one who has the weakest tiebreakers, which is how, I mean, the algorithm is actually set up to do that on purpose. He has to pick up more than 2 points of breakers just to catch Patrick Failing. And if Patrick loses, he's got no chance because he's never picking up the 7 points he needs to pass Nate Sturm.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So I think it's 2 win and ins. John Goss is trying to win to get 9th. I mean, there's a small chance that Goss could leapfrog his way into contention, but he's paired down. His opponent's match win percentage actually gets worse. Zach Dobbin?
Both the guys we saw last round are playing for win and ins this round?
Yeah, I've got it at Zach Dobbin versus Michael Scheffenenker is a win and in, and Patrick Failing versus Nate Sturm is a win and in.
Yeah, okay.
That's your 2 matches in the feature match area?
Yeah, that's right.
We get to start with Zach, right?
Yes,
awesome.
Absolutely start with Zach.
Cool.
Great.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to suck if somebody misses, but the 2 win and ins I think are going to feel pretty clean. John Goss probably already knows, looking at his breakers.
Well, who knows if you already have a loss and a draw, you might not even bother checking. You know you got to play,
playing.
no matter what.
Sure. Keep playing and winning until they tell you have to stop.
Yep. Keep your head down. Keep moving forward.
Yeah, and if table 1, 2, or 3 plays it out, then John suddenly is live.
Yeah, somebody could certainly be talked into, this isn't a lot.
It's not 100%, right? It's 98%.
Against Michael Scheffenenker.
Yeah, the only unknown would be Tony at 59.8.
That's table 4, Zach Dobbin.
Right.
And Michael
If you have 59.8, do you draw when you and risk getting leapfrogged by the guy currently on 56.0?
And I think you do.
I think you draw. It's 95%?
I mean,
95%?
If it was Patrick failing you had to worry about, and it's
A 58.3 to
58.3 to 59.8, I think you still draw, but it's closer.
It's a lot riskier at that point.
Yeah.
Now it's like, what's the matchup?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I want to know what the matchup is now. If I think I'm 65% to win the matchup, maybe I'd play. Playing and winning also gets me the 2 seed.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting.
But it's not 1 point in breakers, it's 3 points in
And
breakers.
occasionally you just run into the person who came to play.
I came to play. Very famous Chris Pakula story from back in the day. No. We came to play tomorrow. What are you doing? I came to play. Michael DeBard was the opponent. So the points for our Zach Dobbin matchup.
Zach has more
Zach
points
is paired
and
down.
terrible breakers.
Yeah, Zach is paired down, so he is 8-1. His opponent is 7-1-1, but Zach has the worst breakers, so he was the one who got paired down.
Yeah,
and
Zach's breakers
won't
are-
get the draw that he needs here.
Zach's breakers are bad enough. Even if he had not gotten paired down, he needed to play.
Oh wow, are they that bad? Oh, 55.9. You're right.
Yeah.
He would have been. That would have been a risky draw, even if he could get it.
Yeah, if this had worked out a little differently, he would have had a risky draw on his hands.
No, instead he has to play.
Instead,
anyway.
it's crystal clear. You've got to play this one and win it.
How many of these decks do we know for the top 8? So in the top 8, we have it at Kevin Jones, John Grudzina, Ralph Betesh, Eric DeLuca, Eric Markowitz, and Tony Chorlanzo. That, I believe, is Delver, and 2 that I don't know. I mean, that's what I know. All right, let's head down to the match. Let's see what happens. Blue-Red Delver against Blue-Black Helmerator. I think we know who the audience is rooting for here. I think this is a...
Delver, all we want to do is do mirror matches in the top 8, right?
I don't think so. I think this is good versus evil. Darth Delver striking a blow for the dark side.
Nobody wants to see Leyline of the Void running wild. No one wants to stop the game before it starts.
What? How many people out there want to see Leyline of the Void running wild? I know I'm raising my hand right now. Helm or Riot? That seems to be the consensus, Bob.
Look, there's a lot of gold on that boat.
There is a lot of gold on
that
that
boat.
That's why you riot. You have to go steal all the gold. No gold for you.
So, don't be haters. I mean, trust me. If the less you want Treasure Cruise to stick around, the more you want this blue-red deck to win right
funny.
now.
Sure. If you really want to see a Treasure Cruise banning come January, then you want Scheffenenker to win.
Yeah.
I don't think it all comes down to this match, but the odds go up rather than down.
Yeah, so
By some tiny
it looks
amount.
like the over 20 Treasure Cruises in the top 8 is a very, very safe over.
Oh yeah, you had the line at like 18 or 19.
Yeah, I said 18 or 19, and you're like, I think I'd take anything at 20 or less. I would take the over on 20 or less, and
I might get one of these right. I was totally wrong on coursers at the Pro Tour. I had the line on coursers in the top 8 of the Pro Tour way too high.
what, like 16?
I had it in the 20s.
Oh, wow.
And there were 12. Zach going down to 6. Scheffenenker.
And
Michael also
followed.
going down to 6. Good news for Helmerator fans, though, is Zach wins this, he gets the 2 seed.
Yeah, he gets the 2 seed.
He'll be
gets-
9-1, so he'll be ahead of everybody who drew.
He gets to play first until at least the finals, and possibly the finals as well.
Right, Kevin Jones will be the only guy who would ever get to play first against him. If he wins. Gonna have to win with 6 cards, though.
That's still parity. And it's not like either of them play with cards that... Oh, wait.
Wow, look, who knows? Is it 4 Treasure Cruises to 4 ley lines, or is it 3 Treasure Cruises to 4 ley lines? It's 4 ley lines.
Oh. 4 Chalice of the Void, 3 Transmute Artifact. Wow.
Oh, you haven't got to look at this list yet?
No, I haven't.
Oh, yeah, it's good times. He's got Thopter Foundry, Sword of the Meek. It's the backup combo, too.
Okay, now I'm pulling for the blue.
That's all it took.
This deck is just entertaining.
He used Academy Ruins against Reed Duke to just play the same Helm of Obedience 4 times in a row until Reed was out of counter magic. He's got Tezzeret, you know, Tezzeret, big Tezzeret is just like -4, go get the Helm. Pat Failing's list, 4 cruises. Oh, Failing's list, that's not the one we need. Scheffenenker. Do we have Scheffenenker already? Oh, we had him last round. Yeah, I bet we have that list. Yeah, 4 cruises. You know, 4 probe, 4 brainstorm, 4 ponder, 4 cruise. Pretty straightforward. 3 dazes and 4 forces. All right, we are off, and we do not have any pre-game actions. No lane out Line of the Voids come into play for free for Zach Dobbin. Scheffenenker goes for a ponder on his first turn.
How interactive is this? Is it just Force of Will?
Days. He's on 4 Chain Lightning. He wants to burn faces.
No. Dobbin.
Oh, Zach. I mean, he has Ensnaring Bridge is his anti-creature plan. He can't kill a creature in his main deck, but he can Ensnaring Bridge.
I'm trying to figure out what happens on his opponent's turn. It looks like just Force of Will.
Just Force of Will. Yeah, literally the only instants and sorceries in the deck are the 3 copies of Transmute Artifact and the 4 forces. Those are the only instants and sorceries.
Wow. Well done.
Goes for the snow-covered island. Wants to start with a basic. Doesn't know if his opponent has wastelands or not, so not willing to risk it. Doesn't know if his opponent has Price of Progress or not.
Yeah.
We know the answer to both of those questions is no. The blue-red lists are pretty clean. They're usually 17 lands. 12, 13, 14. Yeah, this one exactly 17. 12 creatures, 8 burn spells, 7 counters, 16 card drawing. Done.
Does he have the 2 forked bolts also? Oh no, he's just bolt and chain lightning.
4 chains. Yeah, he wants to burn faces, not little creatures. Which is better for him in this matchup.
Yeah. The Chalice for 1 doesn't make it.
Chalice for 1 gets dazed. Chalice for 1's a big game. If Zach could have resolved it.
Chalice for 1 is a very big deal. I mean,
all right, let's see what you got.
only turns off 28 of his spells.
Helm, Big Tez, a land, and a Transmute Artifact. It's not a great hand.
I've seen better.
Yeah, he needs... I mean, he draws 1 City of Traders off the top, 1 Ancient Tomb off the top, and he's in pretty good shape.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tezzeret can't go get the Leyline, though, so if he wants to get a combo kill, it takes a little longer to get the Thopter Foundry and the Sword. Yeah, that draw needs help. Chalice would have bought him a lot of time. I mean, I think you keep that draw, right?
Yeah.
You have a turn 2 Chalice against the Delver deck. You basically, if they don't have Force of Will, they basically just lose.
I mean, that time I got dazed.
Force of Will or Daze, yeah. Soul Land off the top would have been really good.
It's always a good feeling when your opponents have to read your cards.
Can you tell me exactly what Transmute Artifact does?
I think so.
I think I could too.
Really old school. I mean, I believe it's just sacrifice an artifact, search through your deck, put 1 into play, and pay colorless mana for the difference in casting cost.
Oh, how about Chalice of the Void off the top?
1 more time.
You got another Daze, Michael? No.
Oh boy. There went 28 spells.
28? That's a lot.
He can only kill him with Young Pyromancer now.
His only victory condition is now Young Pyromancer. Wow. He has no burn. He can play Treasure Cruises. He can play Young Pyromancers.
Daze and Force of Will.
Daze and Force of Will. You're done.
Yep.
That's it. And he cannot remove the Chalice.
Wow. It's an interesting place to be.
Oh, and there's City of Traders off the top. How about Tezzeret?
Yeah, how about it? Ha! Can still cast this one.
Funny. Floats the mana and picks up the island. Oh, jeez. Force and force back.
So the 2 cards, Chalice and Force, off the top of his deck the last 2 turns?
Yes.
Ah, well done.
Oh, and it's 3 turns. City of Traders is the third.
Oh, yes.
So Michael gets to keep playing. I mean, that Tezzeret would have ended the game relatively soon, one way or the other, given how little of his deck Michael can actually play with. But, I mean, he continues playing for what effect?
I don't know. If it was turn, whatever it is, 4 or 5, and those are the cards you'd seen out of your opponent's deck, how many more cards would you want to see? I would still be a little lost as to what in the world is going on.
That's fair. You saw Helm of Obedience.
Yeah.
Right? You know what Zach can do? He can start helming for value.
Yeah,
He's going to play a Helm of Obedience. He's just going to start activating it. Give me some creatures to attack and win with.
His deck is not very good at flipping a Delver.
Right.
But
here's Treasure Cruise. It's not very good at getting tokens from Young Pyromancer either. I believe Force of Will and Transmute, or that's it.
Yep.
And 2 of those 7 are gone. Still, Treasure Cruise, like the odds of Treasure Cruise even drawing a relevant spell are not high.
No, they're not good at all.
Yeah, you just play the Helm.
Let's do this.
Aw, another Force of Will?
Wow.
No fun.
All these castable spells.
Michael's running really hot here.
Our definition of really hot is widening quickly. Oh my goodness!
Well, he's not going to win this game from Resolve Chalice for 1, is he?
I don't know.
Wow. Yeah, now you just start playing things into the Chalice. They
Right,
get
you
countered,
still get tokens.
but they trigger the token. Yeah, that Young Pyromancer
No,
can
he could
actually
just-
win this. You've got to be kidding. Chalice brings him down to 4 victory conditions in the entire deck and half a dozen counters. And Michael's drawing totally live. Zach needs an Ensnaring Bridge. I mean, Ensnaring Bridge actually ices the game. But other than Ensnaring Bridge, it's not like he can kill creatures. Is that Sword of the Meek?
Leyline of the Void?
Oh, that's a Leyline. Got it. All right. Helm is now lethal, but Michael's going to keep making tokens. He's up to 5. It's a 3-turn clock.
It is a 3-turn clock at this point.
Zach has 1 card in his hand.
Counter all the bolts you want. I'm just playing instant 1/1s.
Crunch, knock you to 10. Wow.
Oh, and I don't even know cards are in his hand because you know he'd just be trying to get him
He
into
should
play.
be trying to get into Ensnaring Bridge range, exactly. Take 5.
Down to 10.
I think that was the 5 down to 5, actually.
Oh,
Okay. Agent of Bolas.
oh, he's sacking. He's going to hard cast a Force of Will here.
Gotta be kidding.
Yeah, tap 5.
And Zach Dobbin scoops them up. He resolved Chalice for 1, but Michael had multiple Force of Wills, was able to stop the Big Tez, was able to stop the Helm, and finds 1 Young Pyromancer, one of the very few spells in his deck he can resolve, good enough.
Just here with my mouth open. Think, okay. Force of Will, Daze, Young Pyromancer, very good cards.
It's all you need sometimes.
That's all you need.
Treasure Cruise helped.
It did.
Bolt full of gold. The gold all got counter spells, but it still turns into 1/1s. All right, just a reminder to let everybody know what's going on. This is the last round of the Swiss for the Legacy Championships. We will be back tomorrow at 8 a.m. Eastern Time to play the quarterfinals. So we're going to cut to the top 8, We're going to bring those 8 players back in the morning. They're going to play out the top 8 tomorrow morning. And, as we're finishing up the top 8, we'll, of course, bring you streaming coverage of all the matches we can get on camera. As we're finishing up that top 8, the Vintage Championships is going to be starting.
Yep.
And, the guys that are still in the top 8 will get buys in the first 2 rounds. They're, I'm sure, all going to play the Vintage Champs. And then we'll be covering Vintage all day tomorrow. So Vintage Champs, we'll just got to play that one till it's over.
Yep.
Nobody's coming back Monday morning. We'll just keep playing Vintage till it's over. Not expecting 10 rounds of Swiss in the Vintage Champs. I don't think we're going to see 455 players.
That would have to be some sort of record. There are almost 200 pre-regged.
Wow. That's
So,
pretty good.
That is very good.
I got a report from Brian on the floor, by the way. The first 3 tables did all draw,
Okay.
just as we expected. So no surprises on the intentional draws. Tables 1, 2, and 3 all draw. We've got it with those 6 in the top 8 to be joined by the winner of this match and the winner of the match between Nate Sturm and Patrick Failing. With a 5 or 10% shot for John Goss to play spoiler and try to sneak in there. Does sideboarding do anything here? Scheffenenker would love to be able to blow. He can smash to smithereens a chalice. You got to bring those in if you just get chalice, right? He saw 2 chalices.
Yeah, those
And
have to
killing a
come in.
helm has value.
Yep.
I mean, Zach will attempt to play helm with mana to immediately activate it so that he can play around artifact removal, but he'll certainly get some draws where you're just like, all right, tap out for my helm.
And chalice is a big enough deal that
You bring him in just for the
they have to
chalices.
be.
You can Blood Moon him. I don't know if you bring Blood Moon in here. Pyroblast is also another one where I don't know if you bring in Pyroblast. You saw Tezzeret, you saw Force of Will. I mean, do you want Lightning Bolt in your deck? Do you want Chain Lightning in your deck?
Probably. I don't. Boy.
I mean, I'm bringing in 2 Smash to Smithereens.
Yeah.
And I might bring in 1 or 2 Pyroblast, Blood Moons. I don't want Chain Lightning. I don't even really want Lightning Bolt. Maybe I bring in all of that.
Yeah, I think you bring in the Pierce, the Pyroblast, the Smash,
Pierces.
the
Pierces
Smash
are great.
the Smithereens.
Sulfuric Vortex is not insane either. This could be a Sulfuric Vortex matchup.
I think there's a lot of Sulfuric Vortex matchups.
I mean, you're the beatdown, right, if you're the Delver player here.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's combo or no. I mean, Spell Pierce is way better. And that might mean you just want to be able to Pyroblast a Force of Will. So you can bring in 5 counters, 2 smashes, take out your bolts and your Chain Lightnings. And you get to bring in like 1 more card.
I mean, the Swift Spirit gets worse when you're taking out bolts for counters.
It does. It's still better than a Lightning Bolt.
Absolutely. I'm just thinking, like, you could. I don't know if you could trim a Swift Spear to get the vortexes in.
Ah, I see. Back match still in game 1. Certainly keep bringing you updates and maybe get those guys on camera.
Table 6.
Table 6, Brian says, the John Goss pair down match.
Yeah, John Goss up a game.
John Goss up a game. Trying to play spoiler.
True Name Nemesis, carrying Umazawa's Jedi, with Liliana of the Veil providing cover fire.
Wow.
Pretty much.
The full court press.
Yeah.
I didn't hear a Delver in this story. Are we supposed to be cheering for John Goss to play spoiler?
He's like...
He's probably got treasure cruises in there.
Esper, yeah, he definitely has treasure cruises.
All right. Both players draw their game 2 hands. Keeps. Looks like keeps. Pre-game actions? No pre-game actions. No free lay lines for Zach.
Oh, turn 1, nothing.
Leave up like Spell Pierce Brainstorm.
Is it a Demir Signet?
Demir Signet. Which is met by a Brainstorm.
See if we can catch a daze.
Sure. Yeah, you totally daze that if you can. Especially if you brought in Blood Moons. I mean, the one flaw with the Blood Moon plan is that there's Demir's. You've seen Demir Signet. He's also got Talisman of Dominance. He can still make colored mana even if he gets Blood Mooned. Young Pyromancer. He was the hero last game. See if he gets there this time. Zach does have 3 Toxic Deluges in his sideboard that he brings in. So he can kill creatures this time.
Oh, engineered explosives.
Will also kill creatures. Yeah, he's just going to pop it. While Scheffenenker is tapped out. No value off the Pyromancer. I'll just trade you 1 card for 1 card.
It doesn't kill a Signet?
It does kill the Signet. It's not 1 card for 1 card. Not clear that Zach noticed that. Michael noticed it. Very
Indeed.
quick to point it out. Now it's Michael's turn. Here's another young Pyromancer, right back where we started, except Zach Dobbins is down a Demir Signet.
Urborg and a Strix.
Yeah, Strix not bad. Pyromancer's never attacking into it, but... Michael taps Volcanic Island for a Ponder. Trigger, make a guy.
Wow, Pyromancer's even better than the spell's Resolve.
Chain Lightning's still in the deck.
Chain Lightning's still in the deck. Exactly
Wow.
what I was thinking.
It's a lot of mana for Zach Dobbin. He's up
City
to
of
6.
Traders. Let's figure this is enough mana for me.
How
Chalice for
about
1.
Chalice for 1? Still totally ridiculous against Scheffenenker's deck. Probably has Smash the Smithereens in. So he probably has the ability to blow it up this time. But only probably.
Is that Thopter?
Thopter Foundry. It is indeed Thopter Foundry.
Oh, certainly have some decisions. And there's the smash.
But hey,
Sacrifice it.
it's still a non-token artifact. Turn that guy into an artifact creature. 1/1 flyer. And gain a life.
And look at that, I've got this token here.
Baleful Strix dies, token dies. There's no way Thopter Foundry can keep up with Young Pyromancer, is there?
No.
Okay. Just checking.
I mean, it certainly helps. But forever, no. Well, looks like that city is going to die. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh boy.
Trinisphere.
Gracious. That will slow down a young Pyromancer.
And Agent of Bolas.
With Tezzeret, okay, maybe Foundry can keep up with young Pyromancer when all your spells cost 3?
Well, what if you find the Sword of the Meek? Remind me how this combo works exactly?
Well, I have a feeling we're going to see a 3 casting cost spell here.
So, Sword of the Meek is 2-mana equipment. It says whenever a 1/1 creature enters the battlefield under your control, you can return Sword of the Meek from your graveyard to the battlefield and attach it to that creature. So, if you sacrifice the Sword of the Meek to the Thopter Foundry, you get a 1/1, which brings the sword back out of the graveyard, where you can sack it to make a 1/1, which brings the sword back out of the graveyard. So essentially, every mana that Zach Dobbin has to spend can turn into a 1/1 flyer.
Wait, the Vortex here is interesting.
Sulfuric Vortex.
Yeah, it stops the life green from the Foundry.
Tezzeret goes up again. Then
And he shows him Ensnaring Bridge.
Interesting. Well, Ensnaring Bridge says if Zach can only be attacked by creatures whose power is less than the number of cards in his hand. Less than or equal to. So what Zach can do is he can set up a situation where he has no cards in his hand, so nothing can attack him. But on his turn, he draws a card, he can attack with those 1/1 flyers, and then play his card. In theory.
Seems like a fine theory.
Alright, seems like Zach wants to play the sword and make 2 guys? Right? I mean, that gives him 2 blockers. Defends Tezzeret.
So what do you use?
Pays a mana, sacks to the Foundry. Doesn't get the 1 life because of the Vortex, but does get the token, which brings back the sword. And he can do it again. With this mana. Oh, he has 2 more times. He has more mana than I realized. He didn't pay for the first one? Oh yeah, Trinisphere means the sword costs 3, not the 2 that Zach paid for it. That's what's going on. Yeah, he can make 2 tokens. This is what I thought I could make. Zach has the mechanics right now of a guy who thought he'd already clinched top 8 and did not expect to be playing a win and in.
Yeah.
I mean, as he plays, decision-making seems perfectly reasonable, but he seems a little, slightly frazzled around the edges right now. All right, so Sulfuric Vortex. There's so many powerful things going on here, it's hard to know which one is actually going to decide this game. I'm pretty sure the Thopter Foundry combo beat Sulfuric Vortex, given that both players started around 20.
Well, and having access to a bridge, I think also helps.
Sure. And having a Trinisphere certainly makes it hard for Scheffenenker to even try to keep up.
Yes.
If it wasn't for the bridge, I mean, it's weird. It's like Young Pyromancer's awesome, Foundry's awesome. If it wasn't for the Trinisphere, Pyromancer could just beat Foundry, but Foundry's sword maybe outpaces Pyromancer. It seems like it definitely does.
So,
while Trinisphere's in play.
Even without, I mean, the best you're doing is 1 mana for a token of Young Pyromancer, right?
Yeah, the combo is going to outrace the Pyromancer. Foundry by itself wasn't. But the combo means he just makes 5/1/1s next turn. He's just like, untap, tap my mana, 5/1/1 flyers.
Yeah.
What do you got? Like, yeah, Scheffenenker. I think what Scheffenenker has once the combo comes out is burn you down before you can kill me.
Yeah,
It becomes
I
just
think the
race.
Vortex.
Right, Vortex plus bolts and chain lightnings and cruises would have a shot if it wasn't for the Trinisphere.
Right, but I mean, it's even one of those things that Zach Dobbin doesn't necessarily even mind having the Vortex in play right now. I mean, he'd prefer it wasn't there, but it's not as horrendous once you start making 1/1s and attacking with them. Ooh.
Uh-oh. The second copy of Smash to Smithereens
will change things.
Points it at Thopter Foundry. Has to pay 3 mana for it.
It's a good reason not to main phase make a token. Do you have to play it as a sorcery?
Well, he doesn't want to let Zach untap Force of Will mana. Right, Force of Will costs 3. So you have to... Trinisphere means Zach can't force to stop that.
But you're not casting the sword, right? No, I mean on his own turn, because he tapped out. So he would have been able to sack that artifact to not take the damage.
Oh, to smash the smithereens damage. I think making the guy's worth it. Oh, you could have made the guy at instant speed.
He'd
Is your
have
point?
the same guy. It'd just be...
He'd just be up 3 life. Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think Thopter Foundry is limited to in time. Yeah, you could.
He wanted to definitely kill Tezzeret.
Wow, Smash to Smithereens kills Tezzeret too.
Indeed.
It's not just damage to Zach. It's damage to Zach that Michael is choosing to redirect to Tezzeret. Because this game needed another crazy swing.
Yeah.
Wow, he's going to attack. So now it's a Sulfuric Vortex game.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, he has the Academy Ruins.
Does he have time to recast the Thopter Foundry?
I mean, now that it costs 3, not really.
Yeah, it's an extra
I mean,
turn
he has to
because
wait.
of the Trinisphere. Yeah, if he casts a 3-mana spell, then he can't Academy Ruins. He's going to go for...
Leyline?
Leyline of the Void. So now Helm of Obedience is lethal.
Yeah, it's like, oh, no, that's wonderful. Another angle to attack from. It's a lot of fun to watch the shifting lines in these games.
This is crazy. Very cool. All right, attack with Young Pyromancer, token. They're racing. There's a second Young Pyromancer, also for 3 mana. Now, if Zach has Helm of Obedience,
Is anything.
he just wins.
Yeah.
If he doesn't have Helm, though, he's going to lose this race to the Young Pyromancers. Fetch lands. Yes. Tap. Don't forget to take your 2 from the Vortex. He's got a Transmute Artifact. Transmute Artifact will allow him to sacrifice an artifact, go get Helm of Obedience, pay the difference. He's going to sack the sword. He's going to have to pay 2. And you know what? He's going to have 1 left over. And he's going to be able to activate Helm of Obedience.
Seems like a fine plan.
Yeah. You broke up my Chalice for 1? Okay, fine. Trinisphere. You broke up my first combo? Okay, fine. Second combo. Zach Dobbin has all the answers. He's a fetch land untapped. I don't know why he left himself here. Yeah, crack the fetch land.
Thank you for finishing cutting my deck. Let me go get my land.
Yeah. Kill you? Yup. Any potential answer would cost 3, even if he had one, so... Looks like we're on to game 3.
It looks like it.
Score 1 for Helmerator. Right? Scoreboard believes it. I believe it. Scheffenenker hasn't scooped. What is he thinking about?
Is he wondering if he can kill his opponent on upkeep?
Yeah, I mean, that must have been what he was thinking about, but not through a Trinisphere. Yeah, all right. Now Michael agrees. Scoreboard operator can put it back on the board. Zach wisely chose to sack the sword to transmute artifact rather than the Trinisphere. Fine choice.
Wouldn't have had to sack the sack land then.
I know. It would have been cheaper if he sacked the Trinisphere. Would only had to pay 1 mana for the difference.
Wow, so managed to piece it together. Managed to just watch where his opponent's plan was heading, and... Well, I mean, it's probably more or less dictated by the cards he's drawing. But... No, a lot of changing lines in that game. A lot of different things going on. And the Smash to Smithereens, every time he cast it looked very, very good.
He only has 2 on the board. He drew them both.
Whew. Well, that's not very good when you drop all your Smash Smithereens and you
still
don't win the
lose?
game.
True. Is his best sideboard card. I'm sure he would happily play 7 in this matchup.
Not exactly a matchup you're metagaming for to come into the event.
The Helmerator? No, not so
The
much.
old blue-black Tezzeret Helmerator.
Yeah, Zach's draws haven't looked ridiculous either. He hasn't had a free ley line yet.
Nope. He hasn't really had too much in the way of fast mana. I mean, even that game, he had a city, he got to let it go.
He had a Signet that he accidentally blew up. I think accidentally. I don't think you trade explosives and Signet for Pyromancer.
It depends. Well, pardon me. It depends on the rest of your hand.
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah.
The fact that he didn't scoop it up though makes me think he didn't see it.
Yeah.
So who do you like in game 3? With Delver on the Delver's on the play in a matchup that's probably not great, but on the play.
Delver on the play.
That's your answer? Or that's your lament?
It's my lament.
It's a lament, yeah.
It's also probably my answer. I mean, it's just doing crazy stuff. Like, it got a Chalice for 1 off the board. It won with 4 relevant cards in its deck.
Yeah, it's true. He won the game where Chalice for 1 stuck.
Yeah.
Lost the game where he blew it up. I don't know. I think Dobbin might actually have enough haymakers.
Oh, he certainly does.
Delver's not winning before he can play a combo.
But
You have to. Delver also has to fight this Chalice 1 threat. All right, let's see what happens. Any pregame action, Zach?
I'm not even sure he's keeping.
One of these guys is going to be playing in the top 8. That top 8 is going to happen tomorrow morning. No pregame action. No pregame actions is the answer. But a turn 1 Delver for Michael. Which Zach answers with explosives. Oh, wow. Did he go explosives for 0 and then Ancient Tomb into Chalice for 1? It's a nice line. Here's the bait. Do you want to fight my... Do you want to daze my...
My Chalice for 0.
My explosives for 0.
Oh yeah, my explosives for 0.
No? All right.
Because if you flip
Here's
that
Chalice
Delver...
1. Right, exactly. Do you just not flip Delver and attack him for 1?
Yeah.
Or do you make him blow up the explosives?
Well, wait, what's the converted once it's in play, the converted casting cost of the Chalice is 0. You flip that in a heartbeat.
Oh, it blows up the Chalice.
Yeah, you flip it and start attacking and hope this guy makes a mistake.
A fine point. Yeah, explosives for 0 would blow up the Chalice. That would be bad for Zach.
Catastrophic.
Aha, update from Brian Marshall. John Goss wins to create the somebody misses at 8-1-1 scenario.
Yeah.
Probably for him, but we'll see. Jeez, now Zach has Trinisphere.
Miserable dragged out game for the back table.
Are they they're still in game 1 on the back table?
I think they're still in game.
Jeez, I'm miserably drawn out. What's the matchup back there?
It's Deathblade.
It's Deathblade versus
Delver Blade versus the Punishing Maverick.
Punishing Maverick.
That seems like one that could go long.
Yeah. It's like, I've got a Batter Skull, you've got this recurring thing that gains me life.
Scheffenenker still attacking for 1 with this Delver. Yeah, we saw this Chalice 1 in game 1. We talked about it. It blanks 28 spells from his main deck. Yes. Drops him down to Young Pyromancers, Force of Will, Daze. After sideboarding, though, we know he's got a couple copies of Smash to Smithereens. He can, in theory, blow up the Chalice. He's still looking and thinking about whether to flip Delver. Not flipping it. Maverick is up a game. That's the update from the back table.
A long game.
It's a long game 2 that's been going on the back table. with Maverick up a game.
Is that the name of the deck at this point?
Punishing Maverick. Maverick is a deck name, not a player. Yeah, Nate Sturm is the player.
Punishing Maverick.
Yeah. Punishing is punishing. He's got the Punishing Fire
Right.
Grove, the Burn Willows combo, and then I think Maverick is Green Sun Zenith with all the one-of creatures to go get.
Huh.
So some Mother of Runes. It's sort of the like green-white version of the Death and Taxes, sort of. Maybe not. It's no Thalias, but Mothers to protect a bunch of one-ofs. Domri Rod, Knight of the Reliquary. Lots of tutoring for lots of little things. Meanwhile, speaking of tutoring, Tezzeret the Younger, Tezzeret the Smaller, it's come out. The plus ability has found it looked like a Helm of Obedience. Yeah, the ultimate on Tezzeret is also relevant. The ultimate on Tezzeret is essentially drain for 2 times the number of artifacts you have. I count 1, 2, 3, 4. It's just 4 artifacts right now, so it's only a drain for 8. But I mean, the deck is capable of having a ton of artifacts in play. He got a Dimir Signet, not a Helm. Sorry. So Dimir Signet would be a 5th artifact. You can just drain for 10. You know, a couple more turns with the plus ability, and you can find more artifacts. We also saw Zach pretty aggressively use the minus ability to create a 5/5 guy in a previous match. Michael tanking over this. He's got to figure out whether to attack Tezzeret or continue to attack Zach.
It's a tough spot to be in. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it's got a lot working against him. Trinisphere,
Chalice. And then he's got Engineered Explosives for 0. It might switch sides. Might be working for him. It's certainly not hurting him here, as Michael would be delighted if Zach activated Explosives for 0. What's the conversation? No idea.
Not sure.
Did he underpay for Tezzeret? No? No idea what they backed up for.
There's some spectator had a question in the chat saying about not having colors.
Oh, does he not have blue and black?
He has Thousand of Dominance.
I don't think he has both a blue and a black mana. Does he tap Academy Ruins for blue? Academy Ruins only taps for colorless. Yeah, if he had a Signet, he could get both a blue and a black off of it, but the Talisman does not simultaneously produce both blue and black. So he couldn't actually play that Tezzeret.
Yeah.
They
Now,
clearly backed up to the point where...
believe it was Dobbin that I had heard earlier already had 2
Really?
in-game warnings.
Interesting.
So, I know there was someone wandering around that had 2.
Yeah, so if there's no history
Two major
of this level of gameplay mistake, they'll just back Zach Dobbin up to the point where he did this.
Well, Tezzeret had played
Tezzeret,
with
he
only
couldn't cast
one color,
Tezzeret,
Could
right?
not cast Tezzeret.
Yeah. So we're trying to wonder, we had heard a rumor that one of the players at the top tables had picked up multiple warnings previously in the event for similarly sized gameplay warnings.
They're talking to the head judge just to figure out what they can...
Yeah, what can they do? It's fair. They got to the next turn,
You
right?
know the bottom 4 cards of his library.
True.
You know the card he took. You can recreate those top 5 cards.
We don't know the order of them.
But we don't know the order, and that's the question that the
Right.
judge is trying to understand. He's like, can we shuffle those 5 cards, put them on top? Do we shuffle the deck? Do we,
Yeah,
do we
backing
game
up
loss it
is-
right here?
Backing up is a little bit tricky.
Yeah.
So how do the judging rules actually work here? If you can, you just back up to the point of the illegal play and repair it and let the game go forward legally, right?
That's what the table judge would certainly like to do.
That's certainly what they would like to do, but
It's unclear if they're able to and how much.
so what happens if they're not able to, though? Does that mean it starts to be game loss territory? Does that mean it starts to be, well, the game's processed too far, we can't fix it, play it as it lies territory?
I think it's more played as it lies than it is game loss.
Unless there's a history of,
Unless there's
right?
a
You got to
history.
check the guy's warning history and make sure he hasn't, made the same mistake multiple times over the course of the event. I mean, obviously they track those warnings as if, make sure nobody can just make a habit out of playing sloppy on purpose. I don't think that's what's going on here. I think this is totally guy who.
Worth noting, the player who caught that was Helmerator's ride home.
Oh wow. The guy who caught it and pointed it out is actually a friend of Zach's. Yeah, there's nothing shady going on here.
No,
I don't think
I'm
anyone
sure he
thinks
was
there's anything shady.
Oh, I don't want. People wanted the game to proceed correctly.
Yeah, everyone just wants the game to proceed correctly. I mean, we can know what the cards are. You could also just shuffle the whole deck. So what did they do? They're rewinding and shuffling the deck. I mean, the deck was random before he activated Tezzeret. No scries, no nothing.
Yeah, because if you rebuild it, there's the information of knowing the top 5.
Yeah, he shouldn't get to know the top 5 cards. All right, we actually have the head judge wander over. Why don't you speak into the mic and tell us what that event was?
All right, so what we have is a situation where the player cast Tezzeret with incorrect mana. He then activated Tezzeret's +1, which involves looking at the top 5 cards of the player's library, revealing one of them and putting the other 4 on the bottom of the deck. The player then passed the turn, the opponent untapped, drew his card for the turn, and that's when the players noticed the error. Now, because we were able to identify the card that the player had taken with Tezzeret, we chose to rewind back to the point in the game directly before the player had cast his Tezzeret. We were able to do so because we knew the one card he had revealed from the +1 and the other 4 cards were at the bottom of the player's deck. All 5 of those cards were shuffled back into the player's deck, so he has no knowledge of the top card of his library at this time.
Sure.
And we put a random card from the non-active player's hand back on top of his library.
Okay.
That's where we are in the game.
Great.
Is there anything else I can do for you, gentlemen?
I'm curious what
Great
would have happened if
explanation.
you hadn't been able to rewind? What happens there?
If we're at a point in the game where we identify a violation, but we feel that it is too complex or too damaging to the game state to back up,
Yep.
we just let it stand.
Got it.
Is there anything else I can do for you?
No, thank you.
No, thank you. Great explanation.
Meanwhile, Michael Scheffenenker has a Blood Moon. Blood Moon, which would be really good, except that Dimir Signet came back to the top of Zach Dobbin's library, and he's got plenty of colored mana. He's got enough colored mana to just play the Tezzeret that was sitting in his hand off of Dimir Signet and the Talisman. Tezzeret pluses. I didn't see what he got. Thopter Foundry. That's what that was. So Zach basically bailed him out and gave him the colored mana he needed, even through a Blood Moon.
Well, I mean, he does have 4 Dimir Signets in his deck.
Yeah, it wasn't that Dimir Signet necessarily. He plays plenty.
I still find he must be just choosing not to flip that Delver.
At this point?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that, I mean, he doesn't want to lose it to the Engineered Explosives. He can't play any future Delvers, but I'm with you. If the right play is to flip it and hope your opponent blows up Engineered Explosives, because that'll hit the Chalice.
Yeah, I mean, it might be too late for that now, but
He also might not see it. It also, what's the Chalice
ultimate
Trinisphere interaction?
drain you for 14. Is this?
This does look like Tezzeret's ultimate. 1, 2,
12?
3, 4, 5. Tezzeret himself is not an artifact, I don't think.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just
Drain you
a
for 12.
blue-black gold card.
2-0.
Nate Sturm wins 2-0. Congratulations to Nate Sturm. That is punishing Maverick. He looks like he's in the top 8 now. Defeating a Delver deck. We will not be at...
At least it wasn't blue-red Delver.
Right. So Tezzeret's ultimate, Zach, I think, was getting a little nervous about his life total. Totally reasonable. Just like, I'll just drain you for 12. I'm at 19. Scheffenenker's at 7. There is now Thopter Foundry in play, right? So Zach can start making some 1/1 flyers. Yeah, the land does still enter the battlefield tapped, even though there's a Blood Moon in play. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh!
Tezzeret is back again.
Another Tezzeret. That's why we did the ultimate for less than lethal. We're going to play a replacement copy. That is really bad for Michael Scheffenenker. I think we're going to see Helmerator into the top 8 with... Like, this deck has way more ways to win than I thought it did. 2 ultimates from Tezzeret, Agent of Bolas. Gonna get the job done this game.
Yeah.
Right, he just untaps and wins, right?
Yes, this will do it. It just drain you for a whole lot.
May as well make a 1/1 flyer to block Delver with. Okay. Wow. Zach Dobbin. Looks like he's gonna go into the top 8 as the number 2 seed. Did not get the draw this round that he needed. Oh, seed of the Synod. Even more. Yeah. Still an artifact, even under Blood Moon. There's the handshake.
That is the best engineered explosives you don't want to sack I've ever seen.
Cool.
Attention legacy players, that is time in the round. Active
And time has just been called on the round.
12 additional turns.
So we're going to hang out till we get the top 8 announcement? Is that the plan here?
Zach is way over here.
Oh, Zach's going to come over. Sure. Yeah. Be nice to talk to him. Welcome back. Randy Bueller, Bob Maher. Been a fun day.
It's been a great day.
Has been an awesome day. We've seen all kinds of awesome Magic. It's been a bit of a long day at 11:15. The beginning of the tournament was delayed. I think the TO did exactly the right thing. There was a giant 1 hour backup on one of the main bridges into the city. There were people desperately calling, "I'm on my way, don't start the tournament without me." So tournament did not start at 9 o'clock like it was scheduled to. It was actually player meeting at a sort of 10:15.
But I mean, it's certainly worth noting. I mean, it was a conscious decision.
Oh,
It
right.
wasn't
Right.
lack of organization.
Totally agree. I think conscious decision and completely correct conscious decision, in my opinion. So here we are at 11:15. Time's been called on the last round of the Swiss, and nobody wants to play this top 8 out starting now. I think we actually have to be out of the building before we would have time to finish it anyway. You've played top 8s at McDonald's.
Yeah, thinking about it
Going
back
back
in
to
the day,
the TO's opened up his shop after getting kicked out of the convention hall.
or like
I
people
played
end up
that
having to
PTQ
play
top 8.
having to play the finals across a bed in a hotel room,
We've all
whatnot.
been there.
And then I don't know, it's just one of those things. I just lived 16 hours straight of Magic. I think I just tend to outlast people sometimes. But
Yeah, no, stamina definitely kicks in and becomes a relevant skill at that point. But that's not the plan. No hotel lobbies. The plan is 8 a.m. tomorrow. We start the stream a couple hours earlier than we were expecting to. More bonus Magic for you guys. We'll start the stream at 8 a.m. We'll watch the top 8 play out of the Legacy Championships, and the Vintage event will start up when it's scheduled to at 10. The guys in the top 8 will get buys if they want to play Vintage, and we'll just be sitting here casting all day.
yeah,
Well, maybe not you. You're going to be playing.
actually, I'll probably try and make it back and see what I can do before Vintage starts.
Oh, hang out for the quarterfinals?
Yeah.
That'd be cool. Yeah, the plan tomorrow, Brian and I will be back in the broadcast booth. Chris Pakula will be joining us. Bob is planning to play the Vintage Champs.
Yep.
So it's been a fun day having you.
Oh, it's been great. It's been a lot of fun. Get to float a lot of boats and whatnot. And no, it's been great. It's fun to see how people try to get around Treasure Cruise, ignore Treasure Cruise, just keep playing the same pet decks they've been playing for years. The diversity is still there. I think there might be an issue with some of the cards, but there is still some diversity.
There is still some diversity. I'll buy that. The diversity has smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many rounds do we have left, Brian? I mean, how many matches? I want to get the top 8.
2 more rounds, Randy!
How many rounds? God. I would like to announce the top 8 to the stream before we go, just to make sure everybody knows where we're standing. And then we can see, we'll know what the pairings are too. It's constructed, so the pairings just are the pairings. I mean, the normal bracketed version.
Yes.
I'm looking for...
So Kevin Jones will be the 1 seed.
Right, and Kevin is on Delver.
2 matches. Want to break more
We got 2 matches. I'm happy to keep chatting. I just want to make sure we announce the top 8 before we turn the stream off is all. 2 matches left, so we can hang out and chat. Gradzina's on Delver. He drew in. I don't know what Ralph Betesh is on, or Eric DeLuca. I wonder if we can send Brian for that information. I do know DeLuca. He's on Delver. He's the one on the Sultai version of it.
Sultai Delver?
Bug. You want me to say Bug? I can say Bug Delver.
No, I didn't realize anyone was playing. Not that.
I was talking to Brian about that. I feel like the green cards are a little behind the curve. Tarmogoyf just isn't what Tarmogoyf used to be.
It's not.
Thoughtseize isn't what Thoughtseize used to be.
Thoughtseize is nowhere near what Thought's used to be.
Right. I mean, Abrupt Decay is still decent,
I
but
think Abrupt Decay is still very good.
but you don't want to splash 2 colors for it.
No.
Right? Maybe. Yeah. 1 match and it's on to you. Hey, Brian, can you help us identify the deck lists for the top 8 players? Trying to get a sense of the archetypes.
Like archetype.
Ralph Betesh. I have no idea what deck he's on. I would love to know it. Also, Tony Chiarlanzo.
Sure. There was a handful of blue-red Delvers.
Yeah, if I don't... I believe the Delvers are... There is a assortment of Delvers. Helmerator is in.
Helmerator and
Nate Sturm is Maverick.
Yep.
So of the decks I know, I've got it at 4 Delvers, a Helmerator, a Maverick, and 2 decks that I don't know. Which are, Betesh and Chiarlanzo.
Yep, it's too bad for Pat failing. I would have liked to seen somebody from my hometown.
Yeah, no, I mean, he had the pretty clean winning in. Like, barring tiebreaker catastrophes. Looked like a winning in, but couldn't quite get there.
Yeah.
Last round. Can't ask for that. I mean, if somebody tells you at the beginning of the tournament.
Still a great run.
Yeah, we'll just fast forward 9 rounds and they'll let you play a winning in for top 8. And everybody in the room would agree to that.
And Patrick also plays a lot of vintage.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, so
he's mostly here for tomorrow?
I don't know about mostly. I think he just really enjoys Eternal formats in general, but I know especially since Magic Online got the vintage cards, he's been on quite a bit playing vintage.
That makes sense. Sounds like Tony Chiarlanzo is on Delver. That's 5. Scheffenenker lost for it there, was on Delver, so it's just Betesh that we don't know. Yeah, come on in. Pull up a chair, let's chat. I feel like we already had this conversation once, right?
Just did this, yeah. Having a blast.
Yeah?
Had to sweat it out there. Got paired down.
How scary was that match?
I mean, once I had the Trinisphere and Chalice in play, and I had double Tez in hand, I was like, my game plan here is the plus Tez. Tez is, I believe, the Planeswalker that ultimates the fastest out of any Planeswalkers.
1+ and you're there.
1+, you're there, and if you're playing in a deck that plays a bunch of artifacts, I believe I ultimate Tez the first time, 24-point life swing.
Yeah.
My opponent lost 12. I gained 12, go to 19, comfortably with Trinisphere and Chalice in play, have second Tez in hand. Tez actually finds me Thopter too. Like, that is great.
He's a good one.
But, yeah.
Now, do you think your opponent was not flipping that Delver on purpose because he didn't want it to die to the engineered explosives?
Okay, so we actually talked about this.
Okay.
Where my friends asked me if I tried it next level with the engineered explosives because the chalices are 1. If I actually blow up the engineered explosives there, I'm going to lose my chalice.
Right.
Right. That's what we were talking about.
So, like, they said, like, people on the Twitch were, my friends on Facebook were all posting, were like, yo, Zach's totally next leveling, like, this guy, like, to bait him not to flip this Delver because he thinks it's gonna, like, die or whatever. My thought process was on it, I had Transmute in hand, so if he does flip the Delver, I take 3, sure. I Transmute, fine, Ensnaring Bridge. 2 cards in hand. Delver's flipped, can't attack. I also have Ratchet Bomb in hand at this point, I think.
Okay.
So, like, play Ratchet Bomb, it's flip, Ratchet Bomb.
2 seed.
Zach.
Yeah, Kevin's the 1 seed, Zach, you're the 2 seed.
Yeah, having to play there lets me be on the play most of the thing, which is where you want to be with the deck, obviously. Turn 1 Chalice-Storm 1 is way better than turn 2 Chalice-Storm 1. Still super strong, but being able to play it on the one, you don't have force. Okay, I don't have to worry about 1-drops. But yeah, just gotta thank the guys back at home, Mike Schick, especially. Like 2 years ago, I actually wasn't playing Magic. I work with his dad. He actually works with me now. His dad was talking about how his son played a card game, and I used to play. I played all the time back in the day, and talked about it. He's like, there's this cool store by us. Like, you should go. There's good people. I went, played. There you go. You've been playing for like a long time, even though you took a hiatus. You know the format. I'm known at my store as the crazy brewer. They're like, I show up at an event, they go, what are you playing today? And for better or worse, I guess I'm starting to get a semi-cult following at these legacy events where people come up to me at the beginning of the day and go, tell me you're playing something sweet today. And like, so most of the time I'm trying to brew something sweet. There's times where I play the Esper decks, I play the Delver decks, and they're like, really? And I was like, it's a good deck. Like,
all right. Well, this deck looks awesome. Looks like a sweet brew. You'll be playing it tomorrow morning.
Absolutely.
In the top 8. So good luck. We'll see you then. All right. I don't know how much of that you guys could hear as we were coming over, but top 8, as we predicted it. John Goss did miss fully 3 points. It wasn't particularly close in terms of tiebreakers, but he did miss on 8-1-1. That's going to sting. It's gonna ninth is definitely gonna sting. The other thing that came in, Ralph Batesh is on a Teamer Delver, so it's 6 Delver decks. 6 Delvers, Helmerator, Maverick.
Attention Magic players in the room. Eric DeLuca.
That was the field. Couple of kind of interesting decks.
And Maverick is the 5 seed.
Maverick is the 5 seed, so he plays against
Maverick
Batesh
on the opposite sides of the bracket.
Yeah, so it'll be 1-8 and 4-5 on one side, right? So a Delver Mirror, and then Delver versus Maverick on one side of the bracket. Then you're right, Grudzina, Markowitz in the Delver Mirror, and it'll be Helmerator. Sorry, it's Helmerator versus Markowitz, and then Grudzina versus DeLuca in the mirror.
So everybody at home, it's somebody to root for on each side. If they're just tired of Delvers, they're tired of hearing us talk about particular cards. They've each got somebody to root for.
And if you want something to debate overnight,
yeah,
you could go Helmerator versus the alternate name Tezzoroid.
Tezzoroid?
Metroid hat, dude.
Oh, the Metroid hat? I get the Metroid hat was cool. I like the Metroid hat.
Let's stick with Helmerator. Okay.
Yeah.
It is a pain in the ass.
Deck is indeed a pain in the ass. All right. On that note, I think we're supposed to call it a night.
Yeah. So it's been a lot of fun today. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. No, this has been great. The 6 Delver decks part, maybe not ideal, but we'll see how it plays out in the morning. Got a couple good guys to cheer for. We'll be here 8 a.m. It'll be me. Bob, I think, is going to show up for moral support.
Yeah.
You got a couple hours before the vintage starts. We'll have Chris Pakula, Brian David Marshall. We'll be here. Hopefully you will too. See you guys in about 8.5 hours.